the 100, Season 3, Episode 13, Join or Die. This was definitely a really fun episode to watch. It was really crazy. I was super scared that they were seriously about to kill Kane. I was like, they are not about to kill another character again. But fortunately, that didn't happen. Unfortunately, despite everything that that they went through, he and Pike end up both going to the capital, and Pike is in prison, but at least his mind is free. Kane gets tortured, put up on the cross, and then they threaten Abby. So of course, by the end of the episode, he ends up taking the chip. So now he's a part of the City of Light, which doesn't really matter. Of course, he didn't know that, but the information that he had doesn't really mean anything now, because the rest of our group that was in the cave, they've split off since the last episode. So we still have our people at Arcadia who, based on the promo, are going to be showing up again in the next episode. And we have our other 4 members going off to find Luna and figure out, what the heck is going to happen. How do we get to this girl, and how do we, basically, we need to get to her to convince her to become the next commander. And it was really fun watching that. I love what they did with the flashbacks, where we got to actually see Pike when he's trying to teach everyone how to survive on Earth before they actually get down. I thought that was actually very cool, the way that they played that. It was interesting when they put that it was only 6 months. I thought for sure that they'd been there for like a full year, which is crazy to me, but I guess it's only been 6 months. Not even a full 6 months, because they went back 6 months, and that was like the day, or when it first started it was 6 months, so that was like a couple of days, maybe a week before they actually sent the kids down. So when it only went back 6 months, I was like, that's weird. I thought for sure that they'd at least gone, a full year within the 3 seasons. So that was interesting. That was pretty crazy. But I guess not. They did, I guess technically they only skipped, I guess they really skipped most of the time in between this season and the last one, because they mentioned it had been almost 4 months. So it's kind of funny thinking all of season 1 and 2 took place in like just 2 months, and basically the entire series has been 2.5 months, because they skipped 4 months in between. So it's pretty crazy thinking about that. But I enjoyed it. We got to see everyone kind of in their older styles, like everyone's all nice, clean, and their old outfits. We got to see Jasper, with the goggles on and stuff, which I thought was pretty cool. So it was nice seeing those flashbacks, and he's trying to teach everyone lessons and stuff, and certain people do learn certain lessons. Octavia, I think, was the one who really learned things the most, because she, they have her do the fire and stuff, and they have Murphy in there, and of course they see each other, because it's like, holy crap, you're alive, because they hadn't seen each other this entire time. And so they run into each other, and eventually Murphy actually ends up saving Pike from Indra, who we officially find out has been just full-on captured, because her loyalty was to Lexa. So I like that. I thought that was cool. And he's like, at the end when he saves him, he's like, everything I learned on the ground, so you can go float yourself. But I enjoyed that. I thought that was really cool, the way they kind of played it, and we got to see certain lessons, particularly the fire and them not really giving up and stuff like that. So I enjoyed that. I thought that was pretty cool. It was nice to see Pike in a way where I didn't hate him, because that was nice. That was, obviously pre arc, dropping to the Earth. So it was a different version of him. I was like, I like this. He's just a teacher. He wants to help these kids and, get them to survive and really work together, because that was his whole lesson at the end. And he's like, when he slapped Murphy, I thought that was kind of funny. And then he like backhands him, and he's beating him up. And he did that to force everyone to work together, because it's like, you all have to work together if you're going to be on Earth. Like, it's not just, like he said, it's not just going to be the people from your station. Like, everyone needs to band together. So I thought that was actually very cool. I thought that was really good. And, a tough lesson, which obviously they clearly didn't take too many of those lessons. And so I think Murphy was kind of right in saying everything he learned was on the ground, because as soon as they got down there, him and Bellamy were just like, no rules, go nuts, punch people, hang people, whatever. And then obviously that led to a bunch of madness, so they had to get smart real fast. But I like the way they did that. I thought it played out really well. We have the journey of our 4 characters with Clark, Bellamy, Octavia, and Jasper. And they're just going on this journey, and then they get lost, or they think they get lost, and they find out that they have the signifiers and stuff. And we have these people come to them towards the end. I was really glad that we got to see where they were, because I thought they would end it on like the big thing where it's like, oh, there's Luna, but it's like, obviously they were going to find her. So I was glad we got to see where they were. And as soon as they showed it, I was like, oh, they're on the oil rig. And then it like instantly clicked, like, oh, they're on an oil rig, because I mentioned this. I don't know. This had to have been, episodes ago. Now this is like over a month ago, I think. When I was paying attention to the opening, I mentioned this, and I wish I could remember exactly what episode I was talking about this one. But they show an oil rig in the opening, and I think it may have actually only been like the third or fourth episode this season. And I was looking at stuff. I was like, okay, this stuff is old, but this stuff is new, and they have a really quick clip of an oil rig, and I was like, that hasn't shown up, so we might be going to an oil rig at some point later in the season. I didn't think it would be this far into the season, but they ended up on that oil rig. If you go back and watch the opening, it's in the opening. It's been there since the beginning of the season. And I thought that was really cool. I was like, that most likely is a bit of a hint, because they show everything else. They have the Capitol in there. Of course, they have Arcadia. I believe they had Mount Weather until they blew it up. They may have actually taken that out of the opening. I'd have to go back to an older episode to check that. But I thought it was cool. I was like, okay, so they really did finally end up on this oil rig. Looks really cool. I would love to hear the story about how they actually made that work, because, I guess everybody's only eating fish, unless they do travel out a lot. And they had, like, snorkel gear and stuff, which I thought was very cool. I was like, okay. They have, masks and stuff, and they come up with, like, crossbows and, like, harpoons and stuff. I was like, alright, that's very interesting. And I wasn't really paying attention to it, but it looked like one of the darts actually had, like, rubber attached to it, so if it missed, it would be on basically on a rope to just kind of pull it back in, which would make a lot of sense if they used that for fishing. So I thought that was really cool, just the design and how they had snorkel gear and, underwater masks and stuff like that. I thought that was actually really cool. So I'm excited to see what we're going to get out of this oil rig, and what they're going to do with Luna's character, because of course, and I figured this would happen. It was like, even though Clark gave her kind of the really mini speech, like, you don't have to kill, you just have to lead, and, excuse me, the way you lead is up to you. And I was like, they have the long pause, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure there's a no coming her way, and that's exactly what happened. It's like, nope, and she just closes her hand and walks away. So they're going to have to do a lot of convincing. They don't know any of the madness of the Chips taking over the Capitol and stuff, and it's really down to, like, I think 10 people, because we have these four, and then we have Raven, Monty, and I can't remember the other two characters' names, or I guess we have the three of them. So we have our couple, we have our two guys who are the couple, and then we have the one woman. So I don't remember any of their names. I still don't remember the names. They've obviously become much more important more recently, but I still don't remember, like, any of their names. So I'm going to have to start learning them, because they're clearly going to be, like, main characters starting next season. But we basically only have 8 people that are actually trying to change things. Everyone else is kind of wiped out. We technically have 11 if you count Indra, Murphy, and Pike as well in the prison. But everyone else is chipped, and it's just like, even, non-important players within the show, they're all chipped. So we have the entire Capitol, in a sense, is kind of wiped out. And there's all this stuff about how they have to stop them, how, and they brought this up a little bit more in the last episode, but Monty kind of wants to figure out a way to, stop Alie, but save the City of Light to try to save his mother, which would be like, it's not the same her, and it's kind of ones and zeros, but that's what he wants to do. And so of course it's like they have to go after the backpack now in the next episode, and they're going to get out of prison. So we don't have a lot of people to go up against an insane army, which is in control of every other army inside of the series. So they have a lot to go up against, and I can't wait to see how they finish out this season. We only got 3 episodes left. I know the last 2 episodes are a part 1 and part 2, so it's going to be like one big finale, even though I'm pretty sure it's playing, 1 week after another. But this is a good one. This is, I think, a really good change of pace episode for, where things are going, because we have, I didn't think it would be this drastic, but, Pike and Kane actually getting to the Capitol, I knew it would be a big deal, but I didn't think it would be as crazy as it was, where it's like, now Pike is in prison, but he's also going to be helping them escape now, because, he's tough, and he has, in a sense, he kind of has tactical training based on what he did when Farm Station landed on the ground. So, now he's in prison, he's working with Indra and Murphy, and we, of course, have Kane, who has now been taken over by Alie, and I just didn't see that coming, so that's just one less person that they have on their team. But there's just a lot of craziness. So I'm really looking forward to these next 3 episodes. Really glad Kane didn't die. I was worried about, they already did that before, and then sadly that led to Lincoln's death, ultimately. But I thought for sure, I'm like, they've been killing, like they killed off 3 characters. I'm pretty sure there's 3 episodes in a row, because we lost Lexa, then we had the break, we came back, Lincoln died, and I believe there may have been 1 episode in between. Yeah, there was 1 episode in between Lincoln and Sinclair dying, but over the course of 4 episodes, they killed off three characters. So I'm really glad Kane didn't die in this one. Hopefully nobody dies. Maybe I can't remember her name, but the current commander. I wouldn't mind if she died, because I never liked her from the beginning. I knew she'd be an issue just like Pike. I'm like, instantly, she's a problem. She'll be back and she'll be trouble. So she's trouble. Not even that strong either, because she's like the fastest person to instantly take a chip, I think, in the entire series. It was like, we can help you. Okay, and she just took the chip. I was like, wow, that made her seem so weak to me. I was like, that it just seems sad for her character, but obviously she knew she was busted and stuff, so she just didn't think it was that big of a deal. And of course now everybody's screwed. But I love this episode. That was really fun. Can't wait to see what they, try to do to convince Luna. I'm sure that'll cause some issues, and they might, almost get kicked off the oil rig and all that stuff. But I'm looking forward to these last 3 episodes. But of course, definitely want to know what you guys thought about this one. So please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And of course, we have our 4 characters now on this new part of, land, I guess, the oil rig. I definitely want to know how you guys think they're going to convince Luna to take over as commander. Because either she's taking over as commander, or, something else really crazy is going to happen. But they have to solve it. Like, they need someone to activate the second part of Alie in order to destroy the first part of her. So they kind of need her to do it, but who knows how they're going to try to convince her, or how they will end up convincing her, because they've kind of been outside of the world really on this oil rig. It's like, we have our own little setup here. They don't need anything. Like I said, with them being surrounded by water, they probably just fish, and that's all they eat. And maybe they go to land. They have the signifier and stuff, so maybe they travel to land, but I kind of doubt it. Every once in a while, maybe. But I would love to know your expectations and your theories on how, Clark and our little quartet is going to actually convince Luna to take over. Or if they won't convince her to take over, maybe something else drastic will happen. But I would love to know what you guys think is going to take place, how it's all going to play out. And of course, what you guys thought about this episode in general. So please comment below, let me know. And thanks for watching.